The night before my pinning ceremony, I received an email, per Cadet Ava Whitaker's request. The ceremony has been canceled. I never sent that request. The next morning, $25,000 vanished from my military savings account, transferred directly to my mother's card. When I confronted them, my father said, "Family needs come first, you'll understand." They thought I was just another grunt riding on the family name. They forgot one thing supply officers never lose track of: paperwork. My name is Ava Whitaker, and I've been carrying my family's weight since I was old enough to hold a job. At 29, I'm a first lieutenant in the National Guard's Logistics Division, transitioning to a training position at Western Defense Academy while pulling night shifts at Summit and Crew Logistics to make ends meet. The warehouse smelled of gun oil and sweat that October evening as I reviewed my 90-second graduation speech between inventory counts. My fingers traced the words I'd memorized weeks ago, but perfectionism demanded another run-through. Tomorrow's pinning ceremony at Prairie State Military Hall would mark 7 years of grinding through ranks while my parents lavished attention on my younger brother Caleb. Growing up in Riverton taught me self-reliance early. While Caleb got bailed out of speeding tickets and had his college tuition covered without question, I enlisted at 18, knowing the military would be my only path to education and stability. My parents, Marjorie and Leon Whitaker, called it the cheap option when their friends asked. They preferred discussing Caleb's business ventures, each one funded by them, each one failing spectacularly. The fluorescent lights hummed above as I checked my savings balance, $25,000, every penny earned through deployment bonuses, hazard pay, and countless overtime hours. The latest addition came from completing the Advanced Field Training course, a grueling 3-month program that left me 20 pounds lighter but $5,000 richer. I kept meticulous records: every pay stub, every bonus letter, every bank statement filed both digitally and in hard copy. Supply officers don't just track gear, we track everything. Master Sergeant Ramos had drilled that into me during my first deployment. "Whitaker," he'd said, watching me catalog ammunition shipments in 115-degree heat. "Documentation is your weapon. Never fire without a paper trail." He'd become more than a supervisor since then, the closest thing to family I had in uniform. My phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Klein, my elderly neighbor. "Made too much casserole again? Dear, left some on your porch." She'd been accidentally cooking extra since she learned I often worked through dinner. Real family. I'd learned. Didn't always share your blood. Another message followed, this one from Caleb. "Hey sis, need $2K for the BMW payment. You know I'm good for it." The same promise he'd made about the laptop, the apartment deposit, the failed food truck venture. This time, I didn't respond. Last month, I'd drawn a line: no more money. Period. The warehouse floor was empty except for me and the security cameras. I practiced my ceremony walk between the shelving units, shoulders back, chin level. Tomorrow. My parents would sit in the VIP section I'd paid extra to reserve, though they'd only confirmed attendance after asking if the tickets were transferable. I locked up at 11:30 p.m., driving through empty streets toward my small apartment. The dress blues hung in my back seat, pressed to regulation perfection. Everything was ready. 7 years of work culminating in one moment of recognition. As I pulled into my driveway, my phone lit up with an email notification from the Academy's automated system. The timestamp read 11:57 p.m. My throat tightened as I read the subject line, "Ceremony attendance modification confirmed." The parking brake engaged with a sharp click. Inside, I found the email that would change everything, not just my graduation, but my relationship with blood relatives who'd mistaken my discipline for weakness. They'd forgotten that logistics officers plan for every contingency. They'd forgotten that we document everything. Most importantly, they'd forgotten that in the military, we don't leave our people behind. We either bring them home or we make sure justice is served. The invitation had been sent 3 months ago. I'd paid extra for the embossed cards, each one hand-addressed with military precision. My parents' response came via text. "What class seats is parking free? Can we bring Caleb's girlfriend?" No congratulations, no pride, just logistics of their own comfort. 2 weeks before the ceremony, Mom called during my lunch break. "Ava, honey, about the graduation, will there be important people there?" You know, people who matter. She meant people with money, connections. Anyone who could benefit Caleb's latest venture, a cryptocurrency consulting firm he knew nothing about. "It's a military ceremony. Mom, there'll be officers, veterans, families who understand service." "Oh," the disappointment dripped through the phone. "Well, we'll try to make it work." They'd attended exactly one military event in my career, my basic training graduation. They left early, missing my company honor graduate announcement because Caleb had a golf tournament. I stopped expecting more after that. The financial requests intensified as graduation approached. Caleb texted daily, each message more urgent than the last. "Sis, just need a bridge loan. Investment opportunity closing tomorrow. You're the only one who understands business." That last one almost made me laugh. I understood business enough to know that lending money to someone who'd bankrupted 3 ventures before 30 was bad investment. When I finally responded with a firm no, he switched tactics. "Mom says you're being selfish. All that tax-free military money just sitting there?" Tax-free. They thought combat pay was some kind of lottery winning. They didn't see the mortars, the convoy attacks, the letters I'd written to be opened in case of. They saw dollar signs and assumed it came easy. 4 days before graduation, Dad called. His voice carried that false warmth he used when he wanted something. "Princess, we're so proud of you. This ceremony thing, it's a big deal." "Right. It's my commissioning ceremony." "Dad, the transition from National Guard to Academy instructor? Yes, it's significant." "Good, good. Listen, Caleb's been working on this deal. Really solid this time. If you could just front him $15,000. I hung up. My hands stayed steady, but something shifted inside me. They weren't coming to celebrate. They were coming to collect. That evening, I reviewed my banking security. Everything seemed solid 2-factor authentication, security questions only I could answer, alerts for any transaction over $50. I'd learned operational security in Iraq, where a leaked detail could cost lives. I never imagined I'd need it against my own family. The night before the ceremony arrived with unusual silence. No texts from Caleb, no calls from Mom about what she should wear. At 10:45 p.m., I was reviewing my speech one final time when my laptop chimed. Password reset request for my military email. I hadn't initiated it. My fingers flew across the keyboard, checking login attempts. 3 failed tries from an IP address I recognized my parents' home internet. Then, success on the 4th attempt. They'd gotten in. The phone rang before I could secure the account. Dad's number. "Ava, don't overreact. You hacked my email. Caleb helped us, with the technical stuff. We just needed to check something about tomorrow." "What did you do?" "Nothing dramatic. Look, we have a family obligation. Your mother's cousin is visiting, and we can't very well abandon family for some ceremony. 7 years reduced to 2 words. Dad, what did you do?" "We sent a message saying you couldn't attend." "It's better this way. You don't need the attention. You know how you get with crowds." I hadn't feared crowds since my first deployment, but they still saw me as the anxious 18-year-old who'd left for basic training, not the officer who'd managed supply lines under fire. "You canceled my commissioning ceremony. Don't be dramatic. There'll be others." The line went dead. They'd hung up on me. On the eve of my achievement, they'd hacked my account, stolen my moment, and hung up like it was nothing. I sat in the darkness of my apartment, dress blues hanging like a ghost in the doorway. Tomorrow would come whether I was ready or not, but I wasn't the same soldier who'd accepted their neglect in silence. This time, they'd left a digital trail, and I knew exactly how to follow it. The morning of what should have been my pinning ceremony arrived gray and cold. At 6:15 a.m., I dressed in my ACUs out of habit, even though I had nowhere to report. My phone buzzed with congratulations from fellow officers who didn't know the ceremony had been canceled. Each message twisted the knife deeper. At 7:30 a.m., I arrived at Prairie State Military Hall anyway. The coordinator, Mrs. Patterson, met me with confusion written across her face. Lieutenant Whitaker, we received your cancellation request last night at 11:58 p.m. The VIP section deposit was refunded to the card on file. What card? She pulled up the record on her tablet. A MasterCard ending in 4792. The refund of $800 was processed at midnight. My mother's card, the one she'd used temporarily to help set up my account years ago when I was deployed and needed someone stateside to handle paperwork. I'd forgotten it was still listed as a backup payment method. I need to see the cancellation email. Mrs. Patterson showed me her phone. The message was brief, sent from my military address. Due to family emergency, I request immediate cancellation of my ceremony attendance. Please process all refunds immediately. Lettie A. Whitaker. Family emergency. They'd created one. All right. I drove straight to Crescent Bank Military Services. My vision blurring with unshed tears I refused to let fall. Not in uniform. Never in uniform. The mobile app wouldn't load unusual for a Saturday morning. When it finally connected, my stomach dropped. Balance 1247.53. $25,000. Gone. The transaction history showed a single transfer at 12:21 a.m. Authorized user transfer. Marjorie Whitaker, $25,000. Memo Caleb Housing Investment. My hands shook as I called the bank's fraud department. 20 minutes on hold felt like 20 hours. I see the transfer here, the representative said. It was authorized through our family trust protocol. You're listed as a beneficiary of the Whitaker Family Trust, which gives the trustee Marjorie Whitaker access to accounts for family financial management. What trust? I never signed anything about a trust. The documentation was uploaded digitally in 2016. I can see your electronic signature here. I was in Afghanistan. Mom had sent papers about family financial protection that needed signatures for insurance purposes. I'd signed them on a satellite connection between supply runs, trusting her word. I need this transfer reversed immediately. I understand your concern, ma'am, but authorized user transfers within family trusts require formal dispute resolution. You'll need to file paperwork. I hung up and called my mother. She answered on the first ring, which meant she'd been expecting me. Before you say anything, she started. This is for Caleb's future. He found an amazing foreclosure opportunity, but it required immediate cash. You'll get it back with interest. You stole $25,000 from me. Stole Ava. Don't be dramatic. It's family money. Your father and I have invested far more than that in your upbringing. My upbringing. The laugh that escaped me was sharp enough to cut. You mean Caleb's upbringing? I've been financially independent since I was 18. The money will be replaced when Caleb flips the house. 3 months maximum. You canceled my ceremony. You stole my savings. Do you understand what you've done? My father's voice came through. They'd put me on speaker. What we've done is make a family investment decision. Your little ceremony can be rescheduled. Caleb's opportunity couldn't wait. My little ceremony. My voice stayed level. Cold. Supply officers don't lose control, even under fire. That was my commissioning. 7 years of service recognized. But you wouldn't understand that, would you? Oh, please, Mom sighed. You're being promoted to what? Teaching Caleb's creating real wealth, not playing soldier. Playing soldier. The words hung between us like unexploded ordnance. I kept every email, I said quietly. Every login attempt, every digital signature, every fraudulent access to my accounts. Fraudulent! Dad's voice sharpened. We're your parents. No, you're cybercriminals who happen to share my DNA, and I'm an officer who knows how to build a case. You wouldn't dare. I'm giving you 24 hours to return every penny. After that, I'm filing charges with the military police, the FBI's cybercrime division, and the State Attorney General's Office for Elder Financial Fraud because that trust document will show you've been planning this since I was 20. Silence. Then Mom, her voice venomous. You'd destroy your own family over money. You destroyed our family over money. I'm just documenting it. I ended the call and opened my laptop. Time to build a case that would make any JAG officer proud. They thought I was just another grunt. They were about to learn what a logistics officer could do with a paper trail. Saturday afternoon. I sat in my apartment with 3 laptop screens open, building my campaign like I'd plan a forward operating base. Military precision applied to family betrayal. Master Sergeant Ramos had taught me well. Every supply run needs 3 routes primary, alternate, contingency. This would be no different. First contact Ms. Laurel Pike, a civilian attorney who specialized in military financial fraud. I'd found her through the JAG referral network. She answered her phone at 2:30 p.m., even on a weekend. Lieutenant Whitaker, I've reviewed the documents you sent. The forged trust signature alone is federal wire fraud. The unauthorized email access violates the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. Combined with the financial theft, you're looking at multiple felony charges. I don't want them in prison. I want my money back and protection from future theft. Smart. Criminal charges are leverage, not the end game. I'll draft a civil demand letter with a 48-hour response window. But first, we need everything documented. Second contact, Crescent Bank Military Services Compliance Department. The weekend supervisor, Mr. Torres, had served in the Navy. He understood immediately. Lieutenant, I'm pulling every log from the past 90 days. The IP addresses, the authentication attempts, the trust document metadata, everything. His fingers clicked across keys. Interesting. The trust document was uploaded from a home scanner, not a professional office. The signature overlay shows digital manipulation. This is enough for us to freeze the transfer pending investigation. How long until the money returns? If we mark it as fraudulent, 5 business days, but I can flag your mother's account immediately. Any attempt to withdraw or transfer the funds will be blocked. Third contact, Western Defense Academy. Major Christine Webb, the student coordinator, listened to my situation with growing anger. They canceled your pinning ceremony through a fraudulent email, Lieutenant. That's not just wrong, it's an attack on military tradition. Give me 24 hours. We'll create a special ceremony. Smaller, yes, but official. I don't need special treatment. This isn't treatment. This is justice. Next Friday, 1400 hours. The Warrior Conference Room. It'll be in the official record. By 5 p.m., I had assembled my arsenal 17 pages of documentation, including login logs showing my parents' IP address accessing my account, the forged trust document with metadata proving it was created in 2016, but backdated to 2015 recorded calls where my father admitted to needing the money for family, and bank records showing the exact transfer path. Ms. Pike called back at 6:45 p.m. I've drafted something beautiful. It's not a threat, it's a promise. They return the funds, sign a permanent financial restraining order, and provide written acknowledgement of their actions, or we proceed with criminal charges. I'm also adding a twist. What kind of twist? Public documentation. If they refuse, we file the civil suit publicly, which means everyone in Riverton, including their church, Caleb's business contacts, and their social circle will have access to the court records detailing the theft. My parents cared about one thing more than money, their reputation. This would hit where it hurt. At 8 p.m., Caleb called. I let it go to voicemail. Sis, Mom and Dad told me about the misunderstanding. Look, the house deal fell through anyway, so I can probably get you back half the money by next month. The other half, maybe we could work out a payment plan. Come on, don't be like this. Family helps family. Family helps family. I played the message again, saving it to my evidence folder. He'd just admitted he knew about the theft and had received the funds. Co-conspiracy. Mrs. Klein knocked at 9:30 p.m. with tea and wisdom. Honey, I heard you crying earlier. Whatever it is, you're stronger than it. I wasn't crying. I was building a case. She smiled, The kind of smile that came from 70 years of experience. Same thing sometimes. You know, real family isn't always blood. Real family shows up. At 10 p.m., I created my final document, a 3-phase operation plan. Phase 1, financial freeze fraudulent transfer. Initiate chargeback. Secure all accounts with new authentication protocols. Phase 2, legal serve civil demand letter. Prepare criminal complaint as backup. File restraining order against future financial manipulation. Phase 3, social document everything publicly if they refuse compliance. Ensure military community awareness. Protect future victims. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. You're overreacting. We'll pay you back when we can. Stop being so military about everything. I typed back, you have 46 hours remaining. Then I deleted it. They'd hear from Ms. Pike's office at 9 a.m. Monday. Let them enjoy their Sunday church service, shaking hands and playing the role of upstanding citizens. Come Monday, they'd learn what being so military really meant. I opened a new notebook and wrote on the first page, Operation Recovery, Supply Line Security Protocol. They'd stolen my ceremony and my savings, but they'd forgotten the first rule of logistics: we always maintain operational control of our supply lines, and I was about to cut theirs completely off. Monday morning arrived with military precision. At 8:55 a.m., I sat in Miss Pike's office as she placed the call to my parents' home. Speakerphone, recorded with consent under state law. Mr. and Mrs. Whitaker. This is Laurel Pike, attorney representing Lieutenant Ava Whitaker. You're on a recorded line. Do you consent to this recording? Who is this? My mother's voice pitched high. I'm serving verbal notice that written documentation will arrive within 2 hours via certified mail and email. Your daughter has retained me regarding the fraudulent access of her military email account and the unauthorized transfer of $25,000 from her account. Fraudulent? We're her parents. Dad's blustering tone filled the room. Being a biological relation doesn't grant you legal access to commit wire fraud. Mr. Whitaker, the evidence includes digital forensics showing unauthorized access from your IP address, forged documentation, and recorded admissions of taking the funds without permission. Silence. Then Mom, she's being ridiculous. We needed the money for Caleb's investment. Ma'am, you've just admitted to the unauthorized transfer on a recorded line. The written demand will outline 2 options: full restitution within 72 hours, plus signing a financial restraining order. Or we proceed with filing criminal charges for wire fraud, identity theft, and violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. You can't threaten us. It's not a threat, Mrs. Whitaker. It's a courtesy notice. Good day. Ms. Pike ended the call and turned to me. Phase 1 initiated. Mr. Torres at Crescent Bank should have news soon. My phone rang immediately. Mr. Torres. Lieutenant, the transfer has been frozen. Your mother attempted to move the funds to another account at 6:23 a.m. this morning, but our fraud flag blocked it. She's currently at a branch location demanding access. Would you like to press formal fraud charges with the bank? Yes, full documentation. By noon, the certified letters had been delivered. My phone exploded with calls and texts. I answered none of them. At 12:45 p.m., Caleb appeared at my workplace. Ava, we need to talk. He stood in the Summit and Crew logistics lobby, designer clothes wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. Mom's freaking out. The bank froze her accounts. All of them. That's a banking matter, not my concern. Not your Ava. This is insane. Over money. $25,000. My money. That you received knowing it was stolen. His face paled. I didn't know. The house deal fell through anyway, so I can probably get you back half the money by next month. Your voicemail. Caleb. You knew. You recorded that. I document everything. It's what supply officers do. Look, I'll fix this. I'll get the money. 72 hours, full amount, plus the signed agreement to never access my accounts again. Or what you'll actually send our parents to jail. I stood. using my full height and uniform. Or I'll ensure everyone in Riverton knows exactly what kind of people the Whitakers really are. Every business contact, every church member, every country club friend. The court documents will be public record. He stepped back. You wouldn't. I've already prepared the filing. 15 pages detailing how you all conspired to steal from an active duty service member. How do you think your potential investors will react when they Google your name and find federal fraud charges? By Wednesday afternoon, they were crumbling. Mom called Miss Pike's office 6 times. Dad sent 3 emails offering compromise, returning half now, half later. All rejected. Thursday at 2 p.m. Ms. Pike received a wire transfer confirmation $25,000 returned to my account. The signed financial restraining order arrived an hour later, notarized and witnessed. But I wasn't done. Phase 3, I told Ms. Pike. The ceremony. You're still proceeding with that. They need to see what they tried to steal, and who's willing to stop them. Friday morning, I sent a single text to my parents. Prairie State Military Hall, Conference Room C, 3 p.m. Your attendance is requested for a family financial matter. Then I sent another to Caleb. Bring your girlfriend. She should know what she's getting into. At 1 p.m. I met with Major Webb and Master Sergeant Ramos to finalize details. The conference room had been set up with military precision American flag, state flag, academy banner, a small table with my new rank insignia, chairs arranged in witness formation. You sure about this? Lieutenant Ramos asked. Roger that, Sergeant. Some battles need witnesses. At 2:30 p.m., Ms. Pike arrived with her laptop and portable projector. Mr. Torres from the bank joined via video link on a mounted screen. Everything was ready. My parents walked in at 3:05 p.m., late as always, Caleb and his girlfriend trailing behind. They saw the formal setup and froze. What is this? Mom demanded. Accountability, I replied. Please, take your seats. We have business to conclude. The conference room at Prairie State Military Hall had been transformed into my chosen battlefield. I'd positioned every chair, every screen, every document with tactical precision. The fluorescent lights cast sharp shadows, making the space feel like an interrogation room. Good. Ava, what is this performance? Mom settled into her chair with practiced elegance, her church smile fixed in place. We returned your money. The matter is settled. Not quite. I remained standing, parade rest, letting them fidget in the silence. You see, returning stolen funds doesn't erase the theft. Today, we're establishing permanent boundaries. Caleb's girlfriend, a blonde named Madison I'd never met, whispered, What theft? The $25,000 your boyfriend received from my military savings account. The money his parents stole to fund his latest failure. Ava. Dad's face reddened. That's enough. We're family. Family. I let the word hang. Let's discuss family. Ms. Pike, would you begin? Laurel Pike opened her laptop with theatrical precision. Thank you, Lieutenant. For the record, this meeting is being documented for potential civil proceedings. Mr. Torres from Crescent Bank is joining us virtually to verify certain transactions. The wall screen flickered to life, showing Mr. Torres in his office. Caleb, honey, maybe we should go. Madison tugged at his sleeve. No, I said. You should see this. Consider it due diligence on your future family. Now, then, Ms. Pike continued. Let's review the timeline. Mrs. Whitaker, on October 14th at 11:57 p.m., someone using your home IP address accessed Lieutenant Whitaker's military email account. Would you like to explain how you obtained her password? Mom's smile faltered. I don't know what you're talking about. Really, because we have this recording from Mr. Leon Whitaker. Ms. Pike clicked play. Dad's voice filled the room. Caleb helped us, with the technical stuff. We just needed to check something about tomorrow. Technical stuff, I repeated. Caleb, Want to elaborate on the hacking techniques you used? It wasn't hacking. Mom had your old passwords written down. We just tried combinations until he stopped, realizing what he'd admitted. Madison stood up. You hacked into your sister's military account. The cancellation email, Ms. Pike continued, clicking to the next slide, was sent at 11:58 p.m., falsely claiming a family emergency. This constitutes fraud and impersonation of a military officer. It was just an email, Mom started. Just an email that canceled my commissioning ceremony. 7 years of service dismissed with a lie. I pulled up the next slide myself. But let's discuss the real crime. Mr. Torres. Torres cleared his throat on screen. At 12:21 a.m. on October 15th, a transfer of $25,000 was initiated from Lieutenant Whitaker's account to Mrs. Marjorie Whitaker's account. The transfer cited a family trust document that our forensics team has determined was forged. Forged is a strong word, Dad interjected. The metadata doesn't lie. Mr. Whitaker, Torres continued. The document was created in 2016 but backdated to 2015. The signature was digitally copied from another document and overlaid. This constitutes federal wire fraud. I watched my parents' carefully constructed superiority crumble, but I wasn't done. Madison, I addressed the girlfriend directly. They told Caleb the money was for a house investment, a foreclosure opportunity. Did he show you the property? She shook her head slowly, staring at Caleb. Because there was no property, I continued. The money went to covering his debts, credit cards, car payment, failed business loans. Mom, Dad, you knew this. You've always known. But stealing from me was easier than admitting your golden child is a failure. How dare you? Mom stood. But Ms. Pike raised a hand. Mrs. Whitaker, we haven't discussed the most serious charges yet. Conspiracy to commit wire fraud carries up to 20 years in federal prison. Each of you, including Caleb, participated in this conspiracy. The room went silent except for the hum of electronics. However, Ms. Pike continued, Lieutenant Whitaker has graciously offered an alternative, a signed, notarized agreement never to access her accounts, communications, or financial instruments again. Any violation will result in immediate filing of criminal charges. This is extortion, Dad muttered. No, this is mercy, I corrected. Extortion would be demanding more than what was stolen. I'm simply protecting my future from further theft. Madison was backing toward the door. Caleb, you told me your sister was jealous of your success. You said she was difficult. I am difficult, I agreed. Difficult to manipulate, difficult to rob, difficult to dismiss. Sign the papers, Madison told Caleb coldly. Sign them, or we're done. Mom laughed bitterly. You're destroying this family over money. No, I said, pulling out my phone to show the balance restored to my account. You destroyed this family when you chose to steal from the one person who never asked you for anything. I'm just documenting the damage. The papers sat on the table between us. 3 signature lines, 3 pens, 3 family members who'd have to admit their crime to prevent prosecution. The projector hummed as I clicked to the next slide. A spreadsheet filled the screen, 7 years of financial records, color-coded and damning. Let's review the pattern, I said, my voice cutting through Mom's quiet sobbing. 2015, I sent $2,000 for Dad's surgery deductible. That same month, Caleb gets a new motorcycle. 2017, $3,000 for Mom's car repairs. Caleb's spring break in Cancun costs $3,200. You're twisting things, Caleb started. I'm presenting data. 2019, I deploy to Iraq. You access my power of attorney to help manage bills. $8,000 disappears. Caleb's food truck launches that summer. Madison had returned to her seat, her face pale as she watched her boyfriend shrink into his chair. 2021, I continued. I'm injured in a convoy attack. While I'm in medical, you email asking about my death benefits. Not about my recovery, about the money you'd receive if I died. Ms. Pike pulled up the email on her laptop. Would you like me to read it aloud? Mrs. Whitaker. That's not necessary, Mom whispered. I disagree. I nodded to Ms. Pike. Ava, while we're praying for your recovery, we need to discuss practical matters. As your beneficiaries, we should understand what provisions you've made. Caleb has significant debts that would burden the family if something happened to you. Perhaps you should ensure your SGLI policy lists us as primary recipients. SGLI, I explained to Madison, is military life insurance. $400,000. They wanted to ensure they'd profit from my death. We were worried, Dad protested. About money. Always money. I clicked again. But here's the best part. Mr. Torres, please explain what your investigation uncovered about the trust document. Torres adjusted his camera. The Whitaker Family Trust was established in 2015, but Lieutenant Whitaker was never informed. Her signature was obtained through deception papers presented as insurance forms while she was deployed. This trust gave Mrs. Whitaker access to any accounts where Lieutenant Whitaker was listed as a beneficiary. How many times did they access my accounts without my knowledge? 17 times over 6 years. Small amounts, 200 here, 500 there, always just below the threshold that would trigger alerts. Total stolen before this incident approximately $12,000. The room felt airless. Madison stood again. I'm leaving. Caleb, don't contact me. Baby, wait. Your family steals from a combat veteran, your own sister, while she's injured. She looked at me. I'm sorry. I didn't know. She left. Caleb started to follow, but I blocked his path. We're not finished. What more do you want? He was almost crying. You've ruined everything. I want you to hear this. I turned to my parents. Every dollar you stole, I could have forgiven, but you stole my ceremony, my recognition, the one moment that was supposed to be about my achievement, not your greed. It was just a ceremony. Mom started. Just a ceremony. I pulled out my phone and showed them a photo. This is Private First Class Williams, 19 years old. Died in an IED attack 2 weeks before his promotion ceremony. His parents would give anything for just a ceremony. This is Sergeant Cruz. Another photo. Lost her legs in a mortar attack. She rolled onto that stage in a wheelchair to get her stripes. Just a ceremony. This is... Stop. Dad's voice cracked. We get it. Do you? Because I don't think you do. I set down my phone. You see money and opportunity. I see service and sacrifice. You saw $25,000. I saw 7 years of blood, sweat, and honor that you dismissed with a fraudulent email. Ms. Pike interrupted gently. The agreements need to be signed. Mom picked up the pen with a shaking hand. After this, are we still family? Family. I watched her sign her name. Family shows up. Family supports. Family doesn't steal. Your genetic relatives who happen to share my last name. Dad signed next, his signature angry and sharp. Caleb hesitated. If I sign this, you'll really file charges if you ever contact me about money, try to access my accounts, or interfere with my military career again. Yes, immediately. He signed. Ms. Pike collected the documents, making copies for everyone. Mr. Torres, the bank's fraud investigation will remain sealed upon receipt of these signed agreements. The flagged accounts will be monitored for any future attempts. Then we're done here. Ms. Pike announced. But I wasn't quite finished. I walked to the door and opened it. Major Webb, Master Sergeant Ramos, we're ready. They entered in full dress uniform, followed by 6 other service members from my unit. My parents shrank in their chairs as the room filled with actual military presence. What is this? Mom gasped. This is what you tried to steal, I said simply. My real family. Major Webb stepped forward, her bearing command perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to correct an injustice. Lieutenant Whitaker's commissioning ceremony was fraudulently canceled. The United States Army does not allow such dishonor to stand. The transformation was immediate. My fellow officers formed ranks. The conference room became sacred ground. Behind my parents, more people filed in Mrs. Klein, my supervisor from Summit and Crew, 3 veterans from the VFW who'd heard about the situation. The room filled with witnesses. "Attention to orders," Major Webb announced. Everyone in uniform snapped to attention. My parents flinched at the synchronized movement. "The Secretary of the Army has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and professional excellence of Lieutenant Ava Whitaker. In view of these qualities and her demonstrated leadership potential, she is promoted to the rank of First Lieutenant, United States Army Reserve, and certified as an instructor at Western Defense Academy." Master Sergeant Ramos stepped forward with the shoulder boards. The silver bar caught the light, simple metal that represented everything my family had tried to diminish. "Mom, Dad," I said, still at attention, "this is what you canceled. This moment. This recognition of service you'll never understand." Ramos began the pinning. His hands were steady as he removed my second lieutenant insignia and replaced it with the silver bars of a first lieutenant. The weight felt different, heavier with meaning my parents had tried to steal. "Lieutenant Whitaker," he said quietly, but his voice carried. "It's been an honor to serve with you. Your parents may have given you life, but you gave that life meaning through service." Mom made a sound half sob, half gasp. I didn't look at her. Major Webb continued. "Lieutenant Whitaker distinguished herself through exceptional service in Iraq and Afghanistan. Her logistics expertise saved countless lives by ensuring supply lines remained operational under enemy fire. She earned the Bronze Star, the Army Commendation Medal with Valor, and the Combat Action Badge." "You never told us," Dad whispered. "You never asked," I replied, breaking protocol to face them. "You were too busy calculating my death benefits." Webb cleared her throat. "Furthermore, Lieutenant Whitaker's transition to instructor duty at Western Defense Academy ensures that future officers will benefit from her combat experience and uncompromising integrity." "Integrity," I repeated, looking directly at Caleb. "The quality you traded for $25,000. The formal portion concluded, but I raised my hand. "Major, permission to address the witnesses." "Granted." I turned to face the room, my parents now forced to sit behind me, watching my back as they'd never done in life. 7 years ago, I left home with nothing but a bus ticket to basic training. My parents told everyone I was taking the easy way out because I couldn't afford college. They were embarrassed by my choice to serve. Mrs. Klein wiped her eyes. Several veterans nodded knowingly. Since then, I've served in 2 combat zones. I've held dying soldiers. I've made decisions that kept hundreds fed and supplied under fire. I've earned my education through blood and service. And yesterday, the people who should have been proudest tried to steal both my achievement and my savings. "We made a mistake," Mom started. "No," I cut her off. "A mistake is forgetting a birthday. You committed multiple felonies. You conspired to rob your daughter while she served her country. That's not a mistake. It's a betrayal that defines who you are." I pulled out a folder from the table. "This is my new will and insurance documentation. Mrs. Klein, Master Sergeant Ramos, and Major Webb are now my beneficiaries and emergency contacts. My family of choice, not chance. You're writing us out completely." Caleb stood, finally showing emotion beyond self-pity. "I'm protecting my legacy from thieves." I handed the folder to Ms. Pike. "It's already filed with JAG and the VA. Ironclad." The room fell silent. Then, from the back, slow clapping, one veteran, then another. Then the entire room except my biological family was applauding. "This concludes the official portion," Major Webb announced. "However, Lieutenant Whitaker has one more item to address." I walked to the projector and pulled up a final slide. It showed a scholarship fund, the Whitaker Integrity Scholarship for Enlisted Soldiers Seeking Education Without Family Support. "Funded with $25,000, I announced. The exact amount you tried to steal. It will help soldiers who, like me, serve without family backing. Your theft becomes their opportunity. You're giving away the money, Mom shrieked. I'm investing in integrity, something you taught me the value of by showing me its absence. Master Sergeant Ramos stepped beside me. The first recipient is Private Martinez. Her parents disowned her for enlisting. Sound familiar? My parents gathered their things to leave. But I had one last shot. Oh, Caleb Madison texted me. I held up my phone. She's filing a police report about the money you borrowed from her last month. Seems stealing runs in your family, just not mine anymore. They fled then, Mom crying, Dad purple-faced, Caleb pulling out his phone, desperately trying to call Madison. The room emptied slowly, my real family lingering to offer congratulations and support. Mrs. Klein hugged me tightly, whispering, "You did the right thing, dear." The veterans shook my hand, each one understanding the weight of what had just occurred. This wasn't just about money, it was about honor, something my biological family would never comprehend. Ms. Pike approached with her tablet. The bank confirmation just came through. I looked at the screen. My account balance showed $25,000 with a new status, Secured Fraud Protection Active. Below it, a second confirmation, Whitaker Integrity Scholarship Fund transfer pending. The money will be in the scholarship account by Monday, she said. Your parents can't touch it, and Private Martinez will receive the first disbursement next month. Thank you, I said, meaning more than just the legal help. Major Webb was the last to leave. Lieutenant, I've served 23 years. I've seen soldiers betrayed by enemies and allies alike. But family. She shook her head. You handled this with more grace than most would have managed. I learned from the best. Major. No, she corrected. You learned from the worst and chose to be better? After everyone left, I stood alone in the conference room. My phone buzzed 17 missed calls from my parents, 43 text messages from Caleb. I deleted them all without reading. Some bridges weren't meant to be rebuilt. They were meant to be demolished so thoroughly that no one could cross them again. I picked up my new rank insignia, feeling the weight of the silver bar. First Lieutenant Ava Whitaker. Earned through service, secured through strength, protected through vigilance. My phone buzzed once more. A different number this time. Madison. Thank you for showing me who they really are. Caleb had access to my accounts too. I'm changing everything tonight. Get a lawyer, I texted back. Document everything. Ms. Pike can recommend someone. Already did. And Ava, I'm sorry about your ceremony. You deserved better. I got exactly what I deserved, I replied. Just not from who I expected. I walked to my car, the evening air crisp against my face. The parking lot was empty except for one vehicle, Master Sergeant Ramos's truck. He was leaning against it, waiting. Thought you might need this, he said, handing me an envelope. Inside was a challenge coin from our unit and a note. Family isn't blood. It's who shows up when the mortars fall. We've got your 6, Lieutenant. Always. Roger that. Sergeant. One more thing, he added. Private Martinez wanted you to know she's using the scholarship to study logistics. Says she wants to be like the lieutenant who turned theft into opportunity. I smiled. The first genuine smile in days. Tell her the supply lines are always open for those who serve with honor. As Ramos drove away, I sat in my car and pulled up my banking app one final time. The $25,000 stared back at me, but now it meant something different. Not stolen money recovered, but freedom purchased. Freedom from manipulation, from false obligations, from the burden of toxic blood ties. My phone rang. Mom again. This time I answered. Ava, please. From now on, boundaries aren't words. They're documents. Legal documents. Goodbye, Marjorie. I used her first name deliberately, stripping away the title she'd forfeited through betrayal. I'm your mother. No, you're someone who gave birth to me. Mothers protect. You pillaged. There's a difference. I hung up and blocked the number, then Dad's, then Caleb's. Each block felt like removing shrapnel, painful but necessary for healing. Monday morning at 0600 hours, I reported to Western Defense Academy for my first day as an instructor. My nameplate read Lit Whitaker. My office overlooked the parade grounds, and my first class included Private Martinez. "Good morning, soldiers," I began, standing before 20 eager faces. "Today's lesson: operational security, protecting your assets from all threats, foreign, domestic, and especially familiar." As I taught, I thought about the scholarship recipients who would follow Martinez, soldiers abandoned by family, betrayed by blood, but not broken. They would learn what I had learned sometimes. The best family revenge is succeeding without them. My parents never attempted contact again. The legal documents Ms. Pike had crafted were airtight, the consequences crystal clear. Caleb's business ventures continued to fail. Now, without my safety net, Mom and Dad's reputation in Riverton crumbled as whispers spread about what they'd done to their military daughter. But I didn't track their downfall. I was too busy building upward training soldiers, managing logistics, creating opportunities for those who served without support. The $25,000 they'd stolen became $50,000, then $100,000 as other veterans contributed to the scholarship fund. The theft that was meant to diminish me became my liberation. The ceremony they canceled became legendary among the ranks the day a lieutenant stood her ground against blood thieves and won. My dress blues hang in my office now, the silver bars polished bright. Below them, a simple plaque: "Integrity is not negotiable, especially with family." Every morning, I salute them before teaching the next generation of warriors. And every morning, I'm grateful for the theft that taught me the ultimate logistics lesson. Sometimes the best way to secure your supply lines is to cut off the suppliers who were poisoning them all along. Thank you for listening to my story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts on family, boundaries, and standing up for yourself. Your own experiences matter, and I'd be honored to hear them.